Morgan, thank you so much for coming. It has been 10 days since our last meeting. I want to do this a little bit different. Tell me something good that's happened in the last 10 days.
I just got back from my honeymoon.
Okay, where did you guys go?
We went to Key West.
Have you ever been there before?
No, it was very beautiful, a lot different than I expected, actually.
Very good. Was it crowded? Was there a lot of people there?
Well, I expected there to be because it was a holiday weekend, but there actually weren't that many people. A lot of times we had the beach to ourselves.
Okay. How many beaches did you go to?
About 3.
Okay, what was your favorite one?
There was one we found on the back of a postcard we sent to my brother,
Okay.
and we looked it up and went to that one, but I don't remember the name of it right now.
Okay. Did the beach match the postcard?
Oh, yes, it did.
So it was very good. It was a good find.
It was a great find.
Very good. How did you get down there? Where'd you stay?
So as a wedding gift, his parents got us flights
Okay.
down, and then we stayed in an Airbnb with a private pool.
Nice.
It was nice.
Okay, now before we met, we had kind of worked through some anxiety issues. A lot of times you said that you may have experienced some panic disorders. How was traveling? Airports, flights, how was that with your anxiety? Were there any triggers that were there? Did you feel like you could control it?
So flying wasn't as bad as I remember. I hadn't flown in 10 years, so I expected to be a little bit more nervous than I was. I was nervous on the way home because we were flying in a storm and because they had told us the plane was overweight, which they should have either not told us about it, they should have fixed it, but
Right.
that's a whole different, flying wasn't terrible.
Okay. Now, were there's other events that had the potential to cause a panic attack or made you feel low to moderate levels of anxiety?
So we took a snorkeling adventure,
Okay.
and they piled as many people as they could on that boat, and we kind of sat in a bad place. We sat at the base of the stairs so we could go to the top deck and kind of see the dolphins and the water and everything. And so people walking in and out of the stairwell, and I was also right beside the bar, so people walking from beside the bar and up the stairs. It was a lot of people all at once, and it made my anxiety go just crazy.
Okay, one of the things that we had talked about, and I'll be transparent as well, is know that you're not alone in feeling anxious or having panic disorder or panic attacks. I, for one, suffer from, probably low levels of anxiety and probably moderate levels of OCD. So for me, when I'm in a crowded situation and I sense other people's impetuous attitudes, or I sense other people panicking, or maybe some other people are being impatient, it causes me to get real panicky and real anxious myself. Did you feel like that at all on this snorkeling trip, on this boat trip? Did you feel where people were being impatient and that was kind of causing your levels of anxiety to go up a little bit, or did you manage it pretty well?
Yeah, no, I did not manage it well. That was probably the most anxious I was on the whole trip. People were pushing over each other, trying to get off the boat into the water first, and trying to get to the bar first, and just being right in the middle of that, right by the stairs and the bar. It was very, very bad. And I was wearing this bathing suit that said wife of the party, and so it kind of pointed us out as newlyweds, and so people wanted to talk to us about that, and I just don't do well with a lot of people, so
Okay.
I don't want people in my face. I don't want people. I felt like I was being watched, because you look at the bottom of the stairs, and if we're sitting there, we're being watched. I don't like that.
Right. How did you handle that boat ride? We had talked about in previous meetings of being assertive so that you don't really succumb to the pressures of those around you. Were you able to kind of assert that you were uncomfortable and that you were able to resolve it?
So I didn't really tell any of the crew members because, I don't know them and I'm not talking to them. But I told my husband, that I was having some anxiety, and he went and told the captain, and he was able to get us off on a private gate. So we
So once in the water, did you feel more in control of your surroundings?
Yes, because I could swim away from those people.
Okay.
On the boat where they're just right there. In
Okay.
the water, it's the ocean. I can get away from them. Go
Yeah.
away.
You said yourself you're a pretty good swimmer.
Yes.
You had mentioned that you don't like for people to notice you,
Yes.
where you don't really hide from social atmospheres, but you also don't like to be the center of attention. How did that work on your wedding?
So, that was very anxiety inducing for me because, being a bridesmaid in the past, I was always so scared, but what got me through was, oh, nobody's looking at you, they're looking at the bride.
Right.
And so that mentality kind of worked against me in this because what I've been telling myself in all the past weddings, they're not looking at you, they're looking at the bride. Well, now I'm the bride. And so they're looking at me. And so my dad used to be a wedding photographer. And he even told me, as many weddings as I've shot, and he's shot hundreds, that he's never seen a bride go to a side window and watch her bridal party walk down because she's so anxious.
Right.
And so I was peeking through a window, watching my bridal party come down the aisle, and my bouquet was shaking. And there was a mother with her daughter standing out there. I guess her daughter was restless, so she was trying to get her
Right.
out. And she was like, "Man, do you know your hands are shaking? Like, there's nothing I can do about that."
Okay. How did you overcome that? Did watching what was happening unfold by kind of sneaking a peek through the window, did that help calm you down because you kind of knew things were happening on time, or did it make it worse?
I don't know that it helped or hurt. I mean, I just knew what was going on, but I don't think it calmed me, but I don't think it made it worse either. I just had to, when I started going down the hall, down the aisle, I had to just stare at my husband and not look at the crowd. I couldn't look at a single person. So I'm getting all these cards. We opened the cards at the end of the evening right before we leave on our honeymoon. And I'm getting all these cards from people that were like, "Oh, beautiful wedding, beautiful wedding." Like, I didn't see you because I wasn't looking at anybody except my husband.
Okay. When you're in these crowded situations, when you're in these situations where you can kind of feel anxiety happening, you can feel a panic attack coming, is focusing on one thing helpful for you?
Yes, it's usually my breathing because that gets really hard to do.
What about on times where you can't do that? You said when you were walking down the aisle, you could look at your husband. If you're in a crowded room, is there some point where you can focus your eyes on? Because we know that most times we can't just close our eyes and, concentrate on our breathing when we're in the supermarket. We can't just close our eyes and concentrate on our breathing when we're in a mall. Is there a exercise that you've known how to use where you could look maybe in the distance and focus on something without closing yourself off to what's around you?
No, because if I look out toward the distance, I'm looking up and there's a possibility I could make eye contact.
Okay.
So I look down
Okay.
and then just try to keep to myself until it goes away.
Okay. So when we kind of look back on just our time here, you willingly put yourself in situations that could have caused an anxiety attack, could have led to panic, but it sounds like you found ways to practice what we've worked on. You've asserted your needs to somebody. You have communicated and helped others see a way they could help you. You said that, like you said, on the snorkeling trip, you were able to have somebody talk to the captain to see if he could create a different point of entry into the water. So those are the things that we have been working on before, where when you see a situation that you're in, you have obviously used some techniques of self-assertiveness, which is what we've kind of asked you to do, where the difficulty can be where you feel so anxious and so panicky that you don't reach out to anybody, and that can make your episode worse. Do you think that's true?
Yeah. At the beginning of our relationship, there was one night where I had a panic attack, and this was before, I realized how much my husband can help me. And I was having trouble breathing to the point where I thought I was having a heart attack. Like, my heart was hurting, I couldn't catch my breath, there was a pressure, and we almost went to the hospital because of it. And so he was able to find a way to calm me down. And so knowing that I have somebody that can always help me and that I
Right.
can fall back to, it's really helpful.
Okay. Do you think our assertive techniques have worked for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it, like, keeping it to myself makes it worse.
Okay. So we've had several conversations just in this couple of minutes that demonstrated to me that you're making those steps where you can recognize the precursor to an episode. In the middle of the episode, you can recognize and utilize a tool, which is to ask somebody for help. But I need you to also understand that your panic and your anxiety is super common. It's even common in me. And one of the things that I do is I try to reach out to somebody nearby. Like I said, I'm not good at flying. When I've flown by myself for conferences or conventions, I've always hit the stewardess button and I've just asked the stewardess, is this normal? Or is what I'm feeling on board, is that okay? Is the plane okay? I've learned to kind of ask to get somebody to tell me, hey, it's okay, because if I just sit there and think about worst case scenarios, I'm going to get very uncomfortable and induce a panic attack, but it's always good that we're reaching out to somebody else. We're going to meet next week. What are some things that you would like to discuss and work on for next week as well?
Should you put me on the spot?
I mean, do you think we can continue to work on our techniques of realizing when a panic attack is happening? We'll talk about how we can deal with a crowded room where there may not be an exit. We want to talk about that next week. Like, what do you do if you're in a restaurant and lots of people are kind of coming through the door at once, and you want to work for some techniques on how to possibly escape those situations? Because when you told me about being on a boat, I know it's the boat and I know it's the ocean, but there's at least points of escape all around you. I think next time we need to work on how can we remove ourselves from a situation where there isn't really an easy exit. Would that be something we can work on next time?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, Rory, thanks for coming in. You can make an appointment with the receptionist on your way out, but I will see you next week.
See you later,